Gianna Toboni explored the growing number of Americans taking up arms and joining PATRIOT groups. This is her debrief.
At first, they were not eager to speak with me. It wasn't until I went down to Texas and actually met them in person and spent a few days with them where they said, okay, we trust you. We've seen some of the work that Vice has done. And they said, we trust that you'll give us a fair shot to tell our story. They also feel very misrepresented in mainstream media. And there's been a lot of coverage of these guys. And they felt like they really wanted an opportunity to really express why they are so angry, why they do hate the federal government, and why they have the beliefs that they have. So I think in the end, they were really thankful that we spent the extended amount of time that we did spend with them and that they got a chance to tell their story. The Patriot movement didn't get much hype or many members or much press until Obama was elected in 2008. And from that point, they just skyrocket their membership. And from the experts that we've talked to, they say Obama's election had everything to do with this movement becoming huge. The biggest thing that they say helps them get more members is Obama abusing his power, issuing executive orders, and what they describe as being too lenient on certain policies, specifically immigration. So they say it's actually the actions of the federal government that are helping them to recruit more members. The Patriot groups that I hung out with, they actually weren't all white, and that's a huge stereotype of this movement. There were actually Mexican Americans, there were Asian Americans, and I think a lot of people would be surprised to see that. And unfortunately, I don't know if it'll come across in the piece because so many of them wrap their faces to hide their identity. The one group that they won't allow into their movement are Muslim Americans. So when I got to the ranch, they were very hospitable, and one of the first things they did was hand me a massive semi-automatic rifle, which was new for me. I hadn't shot that type gun before, but they brought me over to firearms training, and I have to say they were very professional with the training. You know, there were a lot of safety precautions that they went through at length, and they kept reiterating that these are things that they learned while in the military. A lot of them said they were in infantry and special ops, so they seemed to have experience. Pretty soon I became comfortable carrying the rifle and shooting at the targets. What was less comfortable for me was being around a bunch of people who also had semi-automatic rifles. So yeah, handling the rifle, shooting at the targets, it actually was pretty fun. I was actually down in Texas with one of the Patriot groups when they actually came across illegal immigrants that were crossing the Rio Grande. It didn't make it into the cut, but essentially what they did was they waved their guns in the air, they started shouting at them, they were even speaking in Spanish, and their main objective is, they told me their main objective is to make sure that these immigrants don't cross into US territory. And so they do everything they can to stop them. And if you can imagine these guys with their camo clothes and their face masks and their big guns, that's enough to usually scare immigrants to the other side of the border. If the immigrants do make it to the other side of the border, what the Patriots told me was that they'll detain them. They said that they'll give them water, they'll make them comfortable, and then they'll hand them over to Border Patrol. I believe them when they say that they're training for a day that they hope will never come. I don't think they want to open up fire in DC. I don't think that they want to start a revolution tomorrow. But if that day does come, they say that they'll be ready. And that's why they're doing the training. And honestly, they proved that at the Bundy standoff. At the end of it, the federal government, that's the group that backed down. So truthfully, I believe them when they say that they hope that that day won't come.